It was the late morning of April 6, 1966, in the quiet suburb of Clayton South, just outside Melbourne, Australia. The sky was clear, the air warm with the promise of an ordinary day. At Westall High School, students and teachers were midway through their classes when something extraordinary shattered the calm moment that would ripple through time as one of the most baffling, most witnessed, and most silenced UFO encounters in history. It began with a group of students playing sports outside. They looked up and saw what they first assumed was an ordinary aircraft until it became clear it was anything but. Hovering in the sky, just above the trees, was a metallic disc-shaped object, silver gray, with a purplish hue, completely silent. It tilted slightly, as if observing them, and then, without warning, it darted off at incredible speed only to descend again into a nearby grassy field, known as the Grange. Panic, confusion, and curiosity spread like wildfire. Students screamed. Teachers ran outside. Within minutes, over 200 people, kids, educators, passers-by were all watching the same thing. A disc-shaped object about the size of 2 cars, resting or hovering just above the field. And then, just as suddenly, it rose again, zipped into the sky, and was gone. But it wasn't alone. Witnesses described 5 military aircraft, possibly Australian or even American, tailing the object. Some said they saw the planes try to surround it. Others insisted the object toyed with them, maneuvering far faster and more fluidly than any aircraft should. One witness, a science teacher named Andrew Greenwood, described the UFO's movement as like a leaf fluttering from a tree, erratic yet controlled, almost alive. Then came the aftermath, stranger still than the event itself. Within 20 minutes, the area was swarmed. Military trucks, uniformed men, suits with no insignia. They sealed off the field. Eyewitnesses said they saw soldiers walking the grass with metal detectors. They took samples. They burned areas of grass. And they warned people firmly to say nothing. Students were pulled into rooms and told that what they saw was nothing more than a weather balloon. Teachers were pressured into silence. Some were threatened with losing their jobs. Greenwood himself later recounted how men in dark suits visited him that same afternoon, warning him not to speak of what he saw, or his career would be over. But the damage, or perhaps the truth, had already taken root. Students were confused, traumatized. They knew what they had seen wasn't a weather balloon. It moved too fast. It hovered. It emitted no sound. It reacted to the military aircraft. And more than 200 people couldn't have had the same hallucination at once. Over the next few days, physical evidence began to disappear. The field was cleaned. Burn marks on the grass were erased. Witnesses who tried to speak publicly were mocked, dismissed, or ignored. The official narrative, repeated in the press, remained vague. No unusual objects cited. The Australian government made no statement. The Royal Australian Air Force claimed no involvement. Yet independent researchers uncovered communications from the US military in Australia, raising chilling questions. Was this a test gone wrong? A recovered craft? Or something not from this world? What makes Westall so unique, even among thousands of UFO reports, is the sheer number of witnesses. all describing the same object with eerie. These weren't isolated reports in the middle of the night. This was broad daylight. A suburban school. Children, teachers, and even local workers in nearby factories all saw the same thing. And even decades later, their stories haven't changed. Joy Clark, 13 years old at the time, recalled, "It was a grayish-silver object, flying very low, very fast, without a sound. I'll never forget it." Another student said it was like science fiction. But it was real. Greenwood, the teacher, stuck to his account for the rest of his life and publicly criticized the government's suppression of the truth. Researchers who've dug into Westall believe it's more than just a UFO encounter. It's a case study in mass cover-up. Why would military officials respond so quickly? Why would they clean the site? Why would educators and students be silenced? If it were just a balloon, why bring in the military? Some theorize it was a crash retrieval operation, that the object may have landed, or even malfunctioned, and the military intervened to recover something of non-human origin. Others believe it was an experimental craft, possibly of US design, being tested over Australian airspace. But that doesn't explain the object's unnatural flight, silent propulsion, or the fact that no military on Earth in 1966 had technology remotely close to what was described. And still others go deeper, suggesting this was an intentional visitation, possibly observing humanity, specifically children. If true, it raises disturbing questions. Why a school? Why during daylight? And why make such an obvious appearance, only to vanish? To this day, the Australian government refuses to open any official investigation into the Westall incident, and no documents, military, aviation, or otherwise, have ever explained what happened. Attempts to locate radar records or flight logs from that day have been met with silence, or claims that nothing unusual was recorded. But for those who were there, the truth is unforgettable. It changed them. Many reported anxiety, nightmares, and deep distrust of authority afterward. Some stayed silent for decades, fearing ridicule. But as the years passed, the silence began to break. Westall became a symbol not just of a close encounter, but of how quickly the truth can be buried. There have been documentaries, articles, and countless interviews since. Yet the case remains unresolved. No answers, no closure. Just over 100 people who looked into the sky one warm morning and saw something no one. The Westall UFO incident is one of the strongest arguments against the mass hallucination theory. It's too big, too real, and far too well documented to ignore. So what really happened that day? Was it an alien craft briefly exposed before vanishing again into the void? Was it a secret experiment that got too close to civilians? Or was it something else, something we're not meant to understand? Whatever it was, it left a mark on the field, on the town, and in the minds of those who witnessed it. And perhaps it's still out there, watching, waiting. If you felt the chill down your spine, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Eyes Beyond Earth for real unexplained encounters, UFO sightings, and secrets they don't want you to know. New videos every week. Like the video if you believe there's more out there. Turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next. And let us know in the comments, what do you believe really happened? Until then, keep your eyes open, keep your mind sharp, and always keep looking up.